Good morning. So we're in the middle of the Aseret Yemei Teshuvah, which is the 10 days that begin with Rosh Hashanah and go through Yom Kippur. So there's 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, the day of Yom Kippur, and 7 days in between, 1 full week. And it's the time of introspection, of Teshuvah, of returning. In fact, this Shabbat is called Shabbat Shuvah because it's the Shabbos of returning. We read famous prophet's words, Shuvah Yisrael, return Jewish people, Ad Hashem Elokecha, to your God. But throughout these 10 days, there are some beautiful inserts we add into our regular daily prayers. We add the Avinu Malkeinu, we add certain inserts into the Amidah. But one of the most stirring and emotional prayer we add is the chapter 130 of Psalms that we say right after Yishtabach, which begins Shir HaMailot Mimama Kim Krosicha Hashem, a song of ascent. From the depth of my heart I call to you, God. And we plead to God, Koli Shima V'chazdecha, with your kindness, listen to my voice. And then we say a very poignant, powerful verse. We say, Ki imcha haslicha, we ask God to forgive us. And we say, Ki imcha haslicha leman tivarei. Because forgiveness is with you. You are the forgiving one. Leman tivarei, in order that you should be feared. And the question the Chassidic masters asked, the Alter Rebbe speaks about is, how could you say that because you're forgiving, that you should be feared? Usually, if I'm a forgiving type, if I'm easy to forgive, then I'm not feared. People are not scared because they know I'll forgive them. Everything they do, every time they sin, every mistake they make, you'll forgive them. So what do we mean in the verse when we say, Ki imcha haslicha? Because kindness is with you, forgiveness is with you. Leman tivarei, in order that you should be feared. And the Alter Rebbe starts with a parable, and I'll modernize it a little bit. Imagine if you bought a building with 30, 40 apartments when the economy was booming, and you took out a mortgage, interest rates were practically zero, you got a 3% interest rate. The apartment is full, every person's paying rent, you're rocking it. But then the crash came. And firstly, everyone left. Interest rates flew up, and you're in a crunch. You have a debt of $100,000 a month to the bank, but you have no way to pay it. So you come to meet with your banker, you sit down with him, and you say, listen, you explain him the situation. The apartments are empty. I don't have the money to pay you. And the banker looks at you and he says, listen, I don't care what's happening. I don't care about the crash. I don't care about interest rates. I want $100,000 every month. So you walk out and you say, forget about it. I can't pay him anyways. There's no way I'm going to be able to do it. Let me just move on. But what happens if the banker sits down with you and says, let me work with you. I'll forgive the interest. Just pay me the principal. I'll spread it out a little longer. Then you go out and you say, hey, I better get this guy the money that I need to get him. Look how kind he was to me. Look how forgiving he was. I better work on my end. Says the Alter Rebbe, the same is true we say with God. Ki imcha haslicha leman tivarei. If God wasn't a forgiving God, then we would just give up because we're imperfect people, we sin. And if God doesn't forgive us, we would say, you know what? I have no hope anyways. Let me move on with my life. But because God's forgiving, Ki imcha haslicha leman tivarei, that's why we fear you, because we recognize how forgiving you are. And we say, 1 second, how am I coming to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur? If God is so forgiving, if God is so caring, what am I doing? What am I bringing to the table? On Rosh Hashanah, I told him the story about this rabbi who was in the Catskills. And he was taking a little vacation, and there was a synagogue there that had a beautiful building, but it was an empty synagogue, not many people. And they asked him, do me a favor, could you come give a talk? He comes to give a lecture. He walks across the big lawn, and as he comes up to the front door, there's a big charity box there. He pulls in this pocket. He's walking with his 10-year-old son. He gets in this pocket. He takes out what he finds, 75 cents, and he drops it into the tzedakah box, into the charity box. He goes, he gives his lecture, and afterwards he's sitting with the clergy, and they're talking, and they say, listen, Rabbi, the caretaker says, I don't know how much I can pay you. Come, let me see. And he takes him out to the front of the building, and he takes him out to the pushka, to the charity box. He opens it up and he takes out the 75 cents and he gives them. He says, that's your payment. On the long drive home, it's quiet. In the middle, the 10-year-old son looks at his father And he says, Daddy, if you would have given more, you would have got more. And that's the message that the Alter Rebbe is telling us. God gives, but now we have to do ours. Now we have to make the effort to think about how are we coming to Yom Kippur. You know, I always say the anecdote about the guy who invited his friend for Rosh Hashanah for dinner, and he tells him, he lives in the city, he says, how are you going to get there? He's in New York City. He says, listen, come down to the train and take a token, put it in with your elbow, and then push the turnstile with your elbow, then wait for the 3 train uptown. When it comes, knock both doors open with your elbows, take the 310 to 59th Street. When it opens up, knock both doors open with your elbow, walk up to 59th Street, make a right, come to 550 59th Street, ring the bell with your elbow, then go to the elevator, open it with your elbow, push in the 6th floor, come up, make a right and a left, and ring my bell with your elbow. The guy says, that was amazing directions. But what's with the elbow business? He says, listen, I'm inviting you for Rosh Hashanah services, but I hope you're not coming empty-handed. My friends, Yom Kippur's 3 days away. We're going to come to Shul wherever you may be. We're going to be praying. We remember, God is forgiving. But in order that he should be feared, because he wants a relationship with us, he wants us to think about how are we going to prepare? What are we going to do to change? How are we going to be kinder, more forgiving to our friends, more caring to our family, more gentle with those that need our help, that look up to us, more attentive to those that are seeking our attention. May Hashem inscribe each and every one of us with a beautiful, sweet, and healthy new year. And may we put in so we could take out and abundantly more. Shabbat Shalom.